Good morning, good morning. You are listening to KSFS Radio San Francisco. KSFS is proudly brought to you by the Department of Broadcast and Electronic Communication Arts here at San Francisco State University. And we are here for Grief Support Group. My name is Alex Piscatelli, and yeah, you are listening to Grief Support Group. This is the show where I talk all things pop culture, my research on grief and media, and I answer your advice questions. As always, if you have any advice questions you want to ask, you can do so at bit.ly/KSFS advice. That's bit.ly/KSFS advice. Okay, well, today is the day where I defend my thesis proposal. Yes, it is true. Obviously, a lot of this show has been me talking about my thesis and being stressed the F out. But we are here. We have officially arrived to, I guess, the midway point, right? Because your proposal is essentially half of your thesis, and we are here and we are defending it today. Okay, so today's show is going to be where I discuss that a little bit, and then I'll talk about my PhD applications as well. I'm so sorry. This is so self-serving, but I swear it's relevant and interesting. And then also I have 2 advice questions to talk about today. So first, we will talk about dating a bad texter. It happens. Maybe it's me, not that for this person, but I was going to say it's happened before, but I might have been the one who's bad. Anyway, and then another advice question about not moving on from a loved one who has passed away and incorporating them into your everyday life. So we'll answer those questions, but first I need to talk about my thesis. So the truth of the matter is, I am running late today. If you are listening live, if you are not listening live and you are listening to the recording, there's a reason this episode will be shorter than the others. It's because I am running late. Yes, it is true. But you know what? The truth of the matter is that today is my thesis proposal defense. I had to look cute during it. Okay. So I had to do a cute outfit. And the thing is that if something weird happens, but you look cute, it's never going to be that weird. You know, if something bad happens, if things don't go according to plan, but you look cute, you can kind of grapple with it more easily. So just in the off chance that something goes wrong during this proposal defense, I have a cute outfit on. I have my Italian leather jacket on. I have my new Doc Martens, the Buzz ones that I got for Black Friday. I'm here. I'm vibing. I have a sweater on. It is cold. It's going well. You know what I mean? But anyway, I also feel like the truth of the matter is that if you're running late and you look cute, it feels more digestible. I always try to ensure, and I'm someone who runs late, so this isn't always the case, so no one at me. But if I don't look cute and I'm late, it's not as easily digestible. Okay, it's not as easily forgiven. But if you have a cute outfit, it's okay to run late. And also, running late this morning, so I was already running late, and then I was like, oh my God, I left my coffee at home. I was already almost to my car. I had to turn around and get my coffee because you know what? This is arguably the most important day of my grad program so far. I haven't been thinking about it as such, but I think it is true because, yeah, I haven't done anything as consequential as this yet. And I think it doesn't feel as scary because there's been a lot of buildup to it, right? The whole semester I've been working on this thesis proposal, but it is a very scary thing. But you know what? It'll be fine. It'll be good. I'm excited to share it all with you all. But yeah, as I was running late, I was like, you know what? This is God's plan. And I think when I'm not running late, it's all me. But when I'm running late, it's out of my control. And I'm not even someone who believes in I believe we have free will, and yet I think when I'm running late, it's not my fault. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see as the day goes on because my defense is in the afternoon, and obviously it is 9 a.m. right now. I'm curious if I'll get more nervous as the day goes on. I really don't know. I think my biggest issue is even if I don't feel mentally like I'm anxious or nervous about something, regardless, my body will shake. I'm someone who shakes. At Thanksgiving, I was with my best friend and her husband and their family, and we were playing games. Uno that got really competitive, and that game where like it's like a circle and it has letters and you press down a letter, like there's like a theme and you all have to say like something that fits that theme or whatever, and you put down the letter for like what it starts with. I'm not explaining this very well, but like if the theme was like one of them was like universities, and if I said San Diego State, I'd press down the S, and then like no one else could say like an S word for that. Anyway, so we played both of those games. I won both of them, by the way. Very competitive. They are very competitive of a family, and guess what? I can be more competitive. Okay. So I won. And I'm very proud of that fact, but I was shaking and I couldn't help it. Like I couldn't help it. I do this thing where I just shake and I can't help it. Like even if I don't feel nervous, like I guess it's like a heightened emotion. Like, yeah, like I feel like competitive, or I feel like, oh, this is a big deal and I want to do well, like for like a presentation or something, but I can't. I'm like, can you stop, like to my body? But it's such a lizard brain thing. It's like so out of our control. You know what I mean? Like I think when we have anxiety or we shake or whatever, it's very like in our system. Like we sort of evolved to be this way, right? Like when we were like whatever our great whatever we evolved from, like they weren't doing class presentations, they weren't writing theses. So what am I doing here? You know what I mean? I do love it. It's been really fun. But yeah, so I've talked about my research a lot, but just to kind of recap it again, what I am doing is I am looking at how teen drama fans, like teen drama shows, the fans of these shows understand and interpret grief. And so today, so your proposal, I think I've mentioned this before, you're essentially halfway done with your thesis once you did your proposal. You just haven't done, you haven't conducted, let's just say the experiment, and you have not analyzed it yet, but you've kind of planned out everything. So I have done my literature review, which is I'm looking at the past research and how it's kind of informed what I'm doing now, and how people have addressed this in the past, right? I'm defining my research questions and defining my topic, and then also what theory is driving my work, and then also I defined in full my method. So I'm going to be interviewing people, but first participants will have to fill out a pre-interview survey to ensure they're eligible, because I want people who are 18 to 30 and who are fans of particular shows. I want people who have shows in common that we're going to be looking at. And then I'll be doing interviews with them, and then I'll be analyzing that data that I get from them and collect from them, and essentially putting it into themes and understanding it from what people have in common with each other, and what people share with me. So it's really exciting. So obviously I haven't conducted any of the interviews yet or planned any of that, but I have all the plans there. I just have to conduct it once it gets approval. So I defend it today, and it's with my chair, who has seen my work and approved it to go to the defense, right? So I think she'll be I think she knows what to expect. Obviously, she thinks I'm going to pass, or I wouldn't be doing this right now, right? And then the other person on my chair, he and I have met a few times. He hasn't read it until now, right? I'm going to get his first thoughts on him reading it, but obviously I've had my advisor guiding me this whole time. And then, so hopefully it won't be too hard. I actually want to be asked questions, because I feel obviously I have a lot to say at all times. But it's interesting because you don't go in with you don't go with a PowerPoint or anything, or a deck. I'm just going in and having to talk about my work, which is kind of scary, right? And people will be asking questions, but I think it'll be chill. Again, I have a cute outfit on. I have my leather jacket. I saw this meme that was I've tasted academic validation. I've tasted romantic love. I recommend getting a jacket. And I feel that way because actually, you know what? I love all of those things, okay? But having a nice jacket along the way, it does you wonders. I'm really team jacket. And so I do have my Italian leather with me, so nothing can go wrong. So it'll be really exciting to see how this all goes. I'm nervous, but I think it'll be good. And it's interesting too, because obviously, I think a lot of this was inspired by, because I've done work where I've interpreted the media itself. I've looked at the text itself, right? But this time I'm looking at sort of audience interpretation of it versus the media itself. It doesn't really matter what the media what the like shows meant to me, because I'm seeing what they meant to other people, right? But I think a lot of this came from, for me, and I wrote this, I'm going to talk about my PhD applications a little bit too, just because I like want to share. But it's just, I think I have always loved media, right? And I think my parents both passing away and now me turning to media. I've always turned to media, right? Like I've always loved media and, like weekly Survivor nights with my family, or talking about High School Musical with friends, or me and my childhood best friend going on Yville, which if you remember Yville, please DM me, because like a lot of people do not remember that website and I love it. Anyway, we would go on there and just cackle and laugh because we would like interact. It was like one of those online games where you moved around like Club Penguin, except you could say more raunchy things, even though it was a kid's game. I don't know. And it also like NASA was there. So was Scion. They had sponsors. Anyway, and so like I have always used media to be in community with others. And so like feeling so alone with grief, but being able to turn to media after my mom died, and media was actually talking about grief in a way that I related to, with Never Have I Ever. Crazy Davy, the main character, but like she's not so crazy, right? Like I get her. She is me. And The Summer I Turned Pretty, like so much of grief, so much of the story is because of grief. And like seeing that show be so popular in a way that, you think of like a Stranger Things or a Succession or a, I'm trying to think whatever other shows are like super popular, but like you think of those shows and they're seen as like very serious, like media texts, right? But then like The Summer I Turned Pretty is something that's like, and I'm not saying this, I'm saying what it's seen by, but it's like feminine, right? Like it's seen as a feminine text, so people aren't going to take it as seriously. But yet like millions upon millions of people were watching The Summer I Turned Pretty, and even if they didn't come for like a serious introspection and a serious display of the way grief impacts people, like for years and years and years for the rest of their life, the relationships that they form as a result of the grief, like the way grief affects a family, they were getting that even if they weren't expecting that. And I think it's a testament to like Jenny Han taking the show very seriously, but also like the viewers taking the show very seriously, right? Like I think I think that's so cool. Like, I think that's important. And I think that's the power of like a teen drama, that it can be like accessible for people and easy to kind of dive into that world. And like, even if you're going through hard things or whatever it may be, like you're not watching this show that's like dark and like gonna make you feel not good. Like there's a lot of lightheartedness amid the depths of grief and the exploration of loss. And so I think that's that's my why behind teen dramas, right? And yeah, I guess I have to tell that to my my committee during my defense today. But yeah, I don't know, I just feel really excited about it. I think I'm really proud of the work I've done, and I think it can be hard to be like, ooh, I'm proud of what I'm doing, just because like I'm so go all the time, that it's hard to like take a step and be like, yeah, no, like this is cool, I feel good about this. But yeah, I'm here, I'm doing it, you know what I mean? This is cool. Okay, let's take a little bit of a music break. Nothing crazy, just a little one, and then I'm gonna get into my PhD applications. But here we go, a little bit of a throwback. Welcome back to Grief Support Group. I am your host, Alex Piscatelli, and we are back to discuss a little bit more about... Okay, wait, you also just listened to Right Round by Flo Rida and Kesha. I feel like, yeah, no, like I was looking for like a throwback and one that I don't listen to often, and yeah, that was exactly what I needed it to be. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit more. I previewed it a little bit already, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about my process of applying for PhD programs, because I finished one application that was due yesterday. I finished it Sunday. I'm ahead of the game. And then I have one due tomorrow, and I'm going to finish it up today. Just finishing touches. I'm almost done, okay? I swear. But it's kind of crazy because I obviously am in my master's program right now, and I didn't expect that I would want to get my PhD. But then it's funny, okay? Because I look back and like during college, like I remember distinctly, and I feel like I must have said this in like high school too. And let me just preface too, I have no reason for like wanting to say this. Like no one in my family has a doctorate. Like it's not like I come from a world of academia or like that's something that was like expected in any sort of world. Like it, but I remember I used to be like, okay, like when I'm a doctor, I'm going to make my enemies call me Dr. Piscatelli, like you have to type thing. Like I would say that in college and maybe high school. And I'm like, why would I have that thought? Like there was no plan. There was no world in which I planned for that. And then I think you all, well, I don't know, whatever. I think you all know, a lot of you know, after I graduated college, I was working in entertainment in Los Angeles and very quickly did not like it. I was doing social media. And I was going to go back to school to become a therapist. I really wanted to be like a sex therapist. I was going to go back to school for marriage and family therapy, and I was like applying for programs, and I was like, okay, wait, never mind. I don't want this. But before like I decided I didn't want this, I wrote like a list of life goals, and I had written like, I had put like bachelor's and like work in like entertainment in LA because I wanted to like already cross things off. And I had done that at that time, but I had also written like get my master's degree, get my doctorate, like, you know, have a talk show or whatever else, write books, like whatever else they were. But I'm like, what, like, why did I write doctorate? I literally had no reason for like thinking that back then. So I guess like my like subliminal has always kind of wanted to pursue this, but I never like, I don't know, defined it as such or knew to like, I don't know. I never knew I would. And when I decided to go back to school for what I'm going for now, right, to study media, I had made this decision in 2021, and then I started my program in 2024. So it was sort of a long time coming. Wait, that's actually crazy. It literally took 3 years from me deciding I wanted to do this to actually do it. So that's how, you know, a lot of thought was put into this. But I also feel like, and what was so cool about working on my PhD applications is I had to write these like personal statements, and I had to lay out kind of the like progression or I don't know, I shouldn't say progression, but like the narrative of why I'm pursuing this now and what my research interests are and how they came about. And for me, like I had mentioned earlier, it's always been a sort of lifelong thing. Like I have always used media to like relate to the people around me and to understand the people around me, and also to make sense of my own identity. You know, you don't see Hairspray 7 times in theaters with your dad if you don't love media and you don't love using it to like be around the people you love, right? Also, side note, I remember like I would listen to the Hairspray soundtrack nonstop after or during or after I saw Hairspray so many times with my dad. And I remember I'd be in the car with my mom, and you know this song where it's at the end, you can't stop the beat, and you know when John Travolta's character is like, and I just don't give a damn. So I was in like 7th grade when that came out. And, you know, like I was testing out cuss words. Like I wasn't really saying them back then. I don't think I started really like saying bad words until like late high school. It always sounded weird when I would say it, which I'm sure is the case for a lot of people. But I was like, if I'm singing along to a song, like I'm gonna say the bad word. And so I said to my mom, listen, like the word damn is used in this song, and I'm going to be saying it. Like, I just hope you know it's because I'm singing along with the song, like, just FYI. So yeah, anyway, that's like so beside the point. But as you can see, I've always loved media and always used it. And I think I kind of wrote this narrative about how, like, when my dad died my senior year of high school, like, no one around me had that experience. And in media, like, no one had that experience either. Like, I had watched Gossip Girl. I was watching it my senior year because that's when, like, Netflix started to really be like, ooh, let's stream stuff, right? And so Gossip Girl was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is. I think it might be. But anyway, I had watched Gossip Girl, and that was like one of the first shows that on Netflix, like on a streaming platform, I had sort of like binge watched. And I didn't know like if there was death or anything in it, but I think in the third season, Chuck Bass's dad died. And like his dad was a bad guy. Like, I don't remember the show. I haven't watched it since then. And I watched it like 11 years ago at this point. But I remember being like, oh my God, wait, like he experienced that too, and he was a high schooler in the show. And I was like, oh my God, this show is gonna explore that, and like I'm not alone in this. But then it wasn't treated as anything more than just like a mid-season minor like plot point, right? And so I was like, okay, cool, never mind. Hopes up. And so like that was really hard because I think as someone who is very open about things, I remember someone in college actually who like I was good friends with for a bit. I remember he was like, oh, sorry, before I get into that, like I stopped talking about grief. Like I wouldn't talk about it really with people or process it or think about it or think about my dad even because of it. But the anecdote I was just going to say is I remember talking to a friend, and we weren't even talking about anything that serious, but he was like, I see what you're doing. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I see how you're so open about everything except like grief and losing your dad. And he was like, if you ever want to talk about it, like I'm here for you. And I was like, And I never talked to him about it. But I feel like just being seen in that moment and someone naming it as such was really like, I don't know. It's funny. I don't think about that moment often as big of a deal as I actually think it was. Like just talking about it right now, I'm like, that was really cool that he did that and opened the floor for me to talk about my grief, even though I didn't take advantage of it. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't have tried. And I'm really happy he did that looking back. But anyway, so then I kind of touched on this before, but then when my mom died, like there was more media. There was Never Have I Ever. The Summer I Turned Pretty premiered that year that my mom died. Like people are talking about grief more. And it just wasn't always that way. And I welcome the change. I'm so happy for it. And I'm so grateful for it. And I think, yeah, it's just like, this is why my sort of personal experience, but also like deep, like, longing to discuss media with others and analyze it, kind of culminated to what I'm doing now. And yeah, like I said, I never had plans to want to pursue getting my PhD, and I only applied for 2 programs because I want to stay in California at this point. And yeah, I was being really particular about it. So like, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But again, I struggle with like being proud of myself for some reason, or just like hyping myself up, I guess. My mentor told me like I need to like hype myself up better because I'm really bad about it. But I think I'm really trying to like sit in this moment of being like, wow, that's really cool that I was able to do that. And I am proud of myself for it. So yeah, she has applied to PhD programs. Well, okay, I applied to one and I'll apply to the other by today. But yeah, that's the PhD update and the thesis update. It's been a long time coming, but here on episode 8 of Grief Support Group, I'm happy I was able to share that with you all. Okay, we're going to get into our advice questions, but first we'll take a little bit of a music break. But what you can expect when we come back, we'll be talking about an advice question about bad texters that you're dating. And then next we'll talk about like sort of the concept of like moving on, but still incorporating someone who has died in your everyday life. So we'll get to that. But first, let's take a little bit of a music break. Welcome back to Grief Support Group. You just listened to Dochi, and now we're going to get into our advice segments. So, if you want to ask advice for a future show, you can do so at bit.ly/KSFS advice. Okay, let's get into the very first one. So this person asked, and I'm actually really intrigued by this question. So they said, how to not be annoyed with slow texters when communication and vibes are good in person and on the phone with somebody I'm dating. Okay, so here's the case for a slow texter. Yeah, that's me. I can go a couple months before you hear from me. But I feel like, okay, let me just say, and I'm going to defend this person. I'm so sorry for the person who asked this. I'm going to defend them, but I will give advice, I swear. But in this person's defense, I think we all have a scale at which, we excel at different things. Okay. You say this person's a slow texter, but communication and vibes are good in person. Yeah, I think I can be really bad at texting. I can be really bad at reaching out. I can be really bad at, like, if you call me, I don't want to do a phone call unless someone else is organizing the call and I'm standing in the room and then I actually want to talk a lot. But like, if I'm the one conducting the phone call, I don't want that. Like, that's not for me. And I have a lot of unread texts on my phone. It's just the way the cookie crumbled. That was God's plan. Okay. But I'm really engaged in person. If I am with you in person, I am not checking my phone. I am not scrolling my phone. I am fully engaged in the moment. I find it like, I don't necessarily care if people like check their phone. I feel like I want to give people my undivided attention. And I just think if I look at my phone, I'll just like get distracted and be rude and whatever. I don't check my phone if I'm with you in person. So I think we all have a scale, right? Like, how could I be a good texter if I'm engaged with people in person? There's just not enough time in the day. And so my argument against you, dear listener, and for this person that is a slow texter, is cut them some slack. If the communication and the vibes are good in person and on the phone, why do you need them to be a good texter? Can I ask you that? Is that okay? I'm sorry. I don't want to be harsh because I think obviously you want to have like texting compatibility with someone. And like, it's not cool. Like, I guess I should say too, like, I text my husband back. You know what I mean? Like, when my mom was alive, I was texting her back like immediately. So like, obviously, like, it's not great if someone's, I don't know, like if you're like waiting for an answer on something or whatever and they're not texting you back. But it sounds like you guys have good vibes on the phone, like when you call. So my question for you is, why do you need to text this person all the time? But so ask yourself that. That's what I'll start with. Ask yourself why you need to do that. But if you find it's very important to you to text throughout the day or whatever it may be, communicate that with them. Maybe they don't realize they're a bad texter, or maybe you communicate with them and they're like, listen, like during my job, like if I look at my phone, like I will get distracted and I can't do that during the workday. Or like maybe they're like me and when they're with people in person, like they can't, it'll take them out of it, or they feel rude or whatever it may be. Like maybe there's just someone who it's just not for them, you know, or maybe they're at home and they're watching Desperate Housewives and they're like, I can't pick up the phone. I can't. Because I think these are all things that are valid. So I think what you need to do is you need to communicate with this person, and you need to, I'm sorry, I keep jumping ahead. Ask yourself what you really want from this person, in terms of like the texting kind of relationship or compatibility. Communicate it with them, see what they have to say. And you know what? My other piece of advice I would give, and I swear I'm not saying this to be like a jokester or like to invalidate you, but instead of texting them all day, what you could do, and I'm not joking, is make like a really big group chat. Like make a really big group chat with like 15 people. I used to have it. Now I have put like my 6 or 5 or whatever. Oh my God, how many? There's 6 of us total because of me, but 5 of my closest friends in a group chat. They're friends with each other because of me. They're not friends with each other organically. do that. Like, put people in a group chat and make it your group chat. That group chat that I text in, it's called Alex's brainstorm circle. It's not a group chat. It's an Alex's podium kind of chat. And what I like about that is I can text it all the time. People will reply sporadically, but it's my place for announcements. I'll do morning announcements. I'll do an evening announcement. I'll say, here's what I accomplished today. I'll say, here's a photo of Dory. I'll go through whatever I need to go through. And I know I'm empowered in doing so because I know they are there for me. Not by choice, but they are there. And so my argument to you is text a friend, text a group chat instead, but also see why they are. Because maybe if you knew the reason why they're a slow texter, it might make you feel better. But I think texting is so, like, obviously it's a big thing. Like, the way we treat texting and social media and phones, like, are a big part of our lives in this point, right? But I also think if someone is a great communicator and the vibes are great otherwise, other than this texting thing, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, what's texting about? Texting is such a small part of your relationship that you're building with this person and that you're dating. So I think remember that, and remember that texting isn't the end all be all. And text your friends, make a really group chat and call it listeners brainstorm circle. That's what I would recommend. Put me in it. I'm down. I might not reply, actually. You might not like that. I'm not a fast texter. Okay. Well, we have another advice question that we'll get to. But first, let's take a little bit of a music break. I will see you shortly. Welcome back. You are listening to Grief Support Group. That was a Renee Rapp song. Yeah, I like that song, actually. I had saved it a while ago and literally never listened to it again, but I was looking through what I wanted today's show to have, and I liked it. I liked the vibes. Anyway, okay. So we are going to get into our second advice question. And yeah, this one is going to be about grief, which, I love to have a dating, related question and then a grief one. I just feel like it balances. It's like the balance of life and death, right? And so I love it. Okay. So this person asked, sometimes it feels weird to just, quote, move on with my life after losing my grandparents. They raised me as much as my own parents did, lived with me my whole lives. I know living my life is what they would have wanted, but I want to honor them more in my day-to-day life. Any suggestions? Okay, first of all, thank you so much for asking this. What I love about when you all send questions to me is that I can tell you're deeply thinking about the things that you're sending. The way you sent this, you're kind of I don't know, you're kind of analyzing it in your question, right? You're saying kind of this relationship, this is only 4 sentences, right? But you're explaining the relationship you had with them, that they were a part of your whole life up until their deaths, right? And they, that they would want you to live your life, and you want to honor them more. But then you also talk about you put that move on in quotes, and I think you're doing that because you know that you don't move on, right? There's no such thing as moving on, but it's kind of that expectation, or you're kind of grappling with I don't know, you're grappling with what does not moving on look like, but still kind of living your life. I think, anyway, I don't know if I'm analyzing what you said too much, but I just really like the way you put that. I can tell that you're thinking deeply about this, and I think it's, I don't know, it's really cool. I think thinking deeply about it is the way to be really intentional with your grief and sort of being able to honor the people that you love. So thank you for sending this in. I think it's something I think about too. Not necessarily for my parents, because I am thinking about them all of the time, but I think in particular that relationship that you have with your grandparents, right? And I'll kind of tell a little my own experience with that to help answer this. But my grandma and my nana on each side, both sides, died when I was 3 and 4. So I didn't have too much a relationship with them, and then both of my grandfathers had died before I was born. So like I never got like that sort of relationship with them, like especially, I mean, growing up, but especially now, like I have no idea what it would be like if my grandparents were here. And I feel like I always sort of felt like, oh, like whatever, you know what I mean? Like that makes it sound so like whatever. It makes it sound, not to keep using the word whatever, but it makes it sound so dismissive. But I think I kind of dismiss that a lot of times. It's the same way that I like didn't process my dad's death. Like I don't think I ever thought about like what it meant to not have my grandparents here. But I feel like so much of like, don't they say that like you carry with you like when you're like, you still have, oh my God, I'm gonna so butcher this and no one quote me on this, but I swear I read something like actually scientific that was like the same like something I'm so sorry, I'm butchering this, but the same like cells or something that like made up like your grandma when your maternal grandma when she like had your mom like is also carried in you, something like that. I don't know, that sounds wrong, but I feel like it's something where like kind of that bond you have with your grandparents is so in you. You know what I mean? Like your grandparents shaped what your family is. Your grandparents set a scene for you. Like so did all of your ancestors. Like it's all like you are a culmination of everyone in your family who has come before you. And I think it can feel like, oh, I just need to move on. Like grandparents, like, yeah, of course they're going to die, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to live your whole life with your grandparents, but that doesn't make it like that doesn't mean you're not moving on if you still honor them and honor the way that they shaped you and shaped your family. And I think like I said, I kind of dismissed that relationship that I had with my grandparents, especially because I didn't like know them, you know, like I didn't know them into childhood and into adulthood, but I knew them, you know what I mean? Like I heard stories from my family. Like I found letters that my mom wrote to my nana. And so I get to read those and I get to see those things and I get to make my grandma's recipes from my dad's cookbook. Like I just made sfouliade last week, which is something we do for Christmas, but it's like this, I guess like pastry, like an after dinner dessert. And it has like marmalade and cinnamon sugar and a little bit of chocolate, but you can't taste it that much. I like to put more chocolate, even though my dad would always say growing up, don't put more chocolate when I would ask, and almonds and it's in this crust. And like I got to share that with my best friend and her husband and his family, and I got to share that with my husband's dad and stepmom over the weekend, and his step grandmother. And like being able to have my grandparents live on in that way, I think is the way that you incorporate them. And it doesn't have to be anything major. Like it's not like I'm like it's not like I'm talking to people all the time about my grandparents, and because I don't have memories with them, you know what I mean? But for you, I think that means you can if that's what feels right. But I think it doesn't have to be big grand gestures of an honoring to feel like they're incorporated in your life. Like yeah, I would name it. I would say this is fouliade and this is my grandma's recipe and it's from my dad's cookbook. And like even just that sentence, like you're just saying it in one sentence, but like the act of joy of like sharing this food together and sharing it with people and allowing my grandma and my mom or my dad to live on, like as we're eating at Thanksgiving a dessert. Like I think there's something really special in that. And yeah, I think, I don't know. I think there's a weird mentality, and I'm not saying you hold this. I think it's a societal, I'll say our like American culture thing. But there's this weird like expectation that if you talk about your grief or you talk about these loved ones, like you haven't moved on. And it's just like, what does moving on really mean? Like it's such a, I mean, I could get in my rant, but I think it's such a just capitalistic idea, this idea that we have to move on and we can't sit in grief and sit in sadness and sit in joy because we have to be go again, go to make money and keep moving. You know what I mean? And I think there's no such thing as moving on. I think like we should sit with whatever emotion we're feeling at whatever time we're feeling it, because you could feel not sad about your grandparents having died for a year, and then it could hit you next year. Like you could feel really good this Christmas, and then next Christmas, like you can't deal with the emotions. And I don't think that means you have or haven't moved on. I don't think moving on, it's just a social construct, right? So I think I'll leave you with this, and I've talked about this on previous shows, but there's this thing called continuing bonds in research, and it's this idea that you continue the bond you had with a person who died. Again, whether it's making their food or sharing stories about them, or, you know, writing them a letter and either ripping it up or sending it. There's this organization called the Postal Service for the Dead that you could send a letter to someone who has died, if you want it to actually physically go somewhere. But yeah, I think figuring out how you want to still keep that relationship with your grandparents, because it hasn't gone away. They've shaped who you are. They shape the way that you relate to the world, and the way you relate to them, right? That's a culmination of them. And so I think you should continue that bond with them in whatever way feels right. And remember that your life, however you're choosing to live it and however you choose to move forward, is honoring them. Because again, you're a culmination of them and everyone who has come before you. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. I just love the way you phrase this question. So thank you so much for sending it in. And thank you to the person earlier too about the slow texters. I'm sorry if I roasted you a little bit. I really didn't mean it in that way. And I appreciate your question too. If you want to send an advice question for a future episode, you can do so at bit.ly/KSFS advice. But we have come to the end of a wonderful show. Thank you all so much for listening. Here I go in my cute outfit to defend my thesis proposal. I hope it's going to be a good day. The sun is shining and it's cold out, which I do like that weather. So I think I will enjoy it. You have listened to another episode of Grief Support Group, and I will see you all next week.